walking around going, "Hey, man, that's cool."
Well, maybe not that way.
They were still using Jolly Key. What was it?
I asked my wife,
Jolly Key Willikers or something like that.
I asked my wife last night for a dab of whipped cream on my dessert.
That's
she brought me this
2-pound bucket.
I said to her, I said, "You obviously don't remember the Brill Cream commercials."
I was just going to say, as soon as you said a little, because the slogan was,
"Well, a little dab will do you."
That's right. That was we could have a lot of fun with that too. Bring back old commercials. Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break here, Nick. Okay, we'll be back in a moment here on the Nick and Joe Show on ThinkRadio.ca.
Welcome back to the Nick and Joe Show, folks. We've been, I won't say all over the map, but we've had a couple very interesting topics. Everything. I want to thank, by the way, Stephanie McAvoy for being our guest in the first 2 segments. And that was a very interesting conversation. You can catch that in podcast 1 and 2, or parts 1 and 2.
Of episode 126?
Of episode 126. How did you know I was going to say that?
I was interrupting you, Nick.
That's okay.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I did it anyway.
That's right. See, you're just getting me back for earlier.
You got that.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Totally.
Okay. Anyway, one of the topics we want to get, kind of the last topic for the show.
Yeah, let's shift off of no more COVID.
Yeah, we've had enough of that.
No more COVID, Nick.
I still say we got to put a sign up that says COVID-free zone.
Okay.
Come on. Anyway.
Here we are talking about COVID again.
That's right. Let's not do that. There is another fascinating topic, and it really is. There's a politician in Norway who has nominated Donald Trump, and I think for some very good reasons, for the Nobel Peace Prize.
Well,
now,
there was, I don't remember if it was a movie. I think it was a movie. And that the title was something along the lines of "A funny thing happened to me on the way to the forum."
Yeah.
And
why does a Montreal hockey player come to mind?
A funny thing happened to us on the way to the Western Wailing Wall in Jerusalem.
I always
United
thought it was the
Arab
Eastern
Emirates
Wall.
And the Bahrainis have decided to make peace with Israel.
Yes.
And I started off making a joke, but in all seriousness, okay, I have to tell you that this comes down to Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. And a few of the things that he basically did early on in the presidency and his term to shake up the status quo in the Middle East. It's an open secret that for a number of years, with the rise of Iran it's an open secret that the Israelis and a number of the Arab governments have been collaborating unofficially on security issues. Okay, and they've always done this sort of under the radar, quietly, that nobody talks openly too much about it, etc. And that's always been sort of in recent years the status quo. But we're not going to sit down. We're not going to sign any agreements. We're not going to make peace. The formula has always been the same. Okay, how do we solve the Palestinian problem? And once we solve the Palestinian problem, we can talk about all these other things. And Trump comes in and basically says, you know what? These guys aren't interested in solving the problem, the Palestinian leadership, that is. And not only that, they did, I think, the worst thing that they possibly could have done in dealing with Donald Trump. They were really ignorant to him. They were really rude to him. And I don't think he takes that very well. Okay?
No, he doesn't.
Now, maybe that's a personality flaw, but in this case, it really did not help their cause at all. So he shrugs his shoulders and says, oh, fine, they don't want to make a deal, we'll just bypass them. So, bang. moves the American embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem.
Yes.
Okay. By the way, just to be clear, from Tel Aviv to West Jerusalem, where, that was pretty much recognized as Israel's de facto capital city anyway. Not East Jerusalem, West Jerusalem. Then they talk about a peace agreement, not a peace agreement, but a unilateral that the Americans have agreed, Donald Trump has agreed, he's given a green light to the Israeli government to unilaterally annex portions of the West Bank. Okay? And now everybody's up in arms, okay? And I'm going, well, of course the Palestinians are going, that's nuts. How could you do that? And, you could just see Trump sitting in the office going, shrugging his shoulders and going, well, I'm willing to make a deal here with you guys, broker a deal, but you don't want a deal. So we're just ignoring you. And that, I think, is what has sort of broken the logjam here, is that all of a sudden people are going, maybe we can make a deal without the Palestinians. And that doesn't mean that they shouldn't be part of something at some point in time. But, it's time to get on with solidifying relationships that have existed already. So this is sort of a long way of me saying whatever is going on in the Middle East right now in terms of the peace process is 100% Donald Trump. It's 100% Donald Trump.
And it's funny, if this was Barack Obama or Clinton or, half a dozen other presidents, this would be front page news all around the world. But because of Trump derangement syndrome, he never gets the credit for the good things he does. Let's face it, he sometimes he's his own worst enemy with some of the things he tweets out, and the revolving door in the White House when it comes to jobs within the administration and people coming and going. All that may be said, but in spite of all that, he has done some remarkable things. His itinerary in the last little while, going to the United Arab Emirates /Israel peace accord. He was in southeast United States to view the flooding from Hurricane Sally, and he's been out to California to see the consequences of the forest fires out there. That's just within a few days of each other, one thing on top of the other.
Right.
He's very proactive.
Yeah, while he's still doing his election rallies.
Yeah, and he's still doing election rallies. He's still running for the job to stay as the president.
And these rallies are the real deal. They're not doing them in arenas right now. They're doing them all in aircraft hangars. So the Air Force One pulls up outside the hangar.
Yeah.
The president comes down, walks up onto the stage. Everybody's cheering and that. But they're getting thousands of people at these rallies.
Well, it's funny. That harkens back to the old railroad stops.
It's true. The old whistle stops.
That's right, where the politician would stand on the back of his car.
The whistle stop.
That's right. And he would give a speech, and the crowd would go crazy, and he'd go to the next town. He might do 15 or 20 in a day.
Yeah, look, I have never been a Donald Trump fan. I still am not a Donald Trump fan. That doesn't mean I dislike him, but, there are things that really rub me the wrong way.
Yeah.
But, he makes me laugh sometimes. Anyway.
He does that.
The point I'm making here, Nick, is that say what you will about Donald Trump. I have to say I think he's been a really very good president. Some of the chaos has sort of followed him around, and I think, like everybody else, I think it's fair to say I wish that he had done things a little better, a little differently. But hey, the guy came in wanting to really shake things up. And some of his shaking up has, you mentioned the revolving door, right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, there is has been, at least in the first couple of years, a revolving door. But again, when you're trying to shake things up, that's what's going to happen. There's a little trial and error. And fairness, there was an element of inexperience there as well.
Sure.
At least in the executive political world, which is very different from running your own business as an executive. So, but again, that's what people wanted. They wanted him to come in and shake things up, and I think he has. Yeah, in that respect, I have to say I think he's been a very good president.
Let me read to you just the first two paragraphs out of this story from which we get this information. Because there's a question built into this that we got to ask. A far-right Norwegian politician has put Mr. Trump's name forward for the 2021 prize, citing the president's role in the recent peace deal between Israel and the United Arab Emirates.
Right, the Nobel Peace Prize.
That's the prize we're talking about. Christian Tybring-Gjetti told Fox News on Wednesday, for his merit, I think he has done more trying to create peace between nations than most other Peace Prize nominees. Adding to that, he was not a big Trump supporter. He added the committee should look at the facts and judge him on his facts, not on the way he behaves sometimes. So the question isn't about the Peace Prize or about Trump.
The question...
What do you got to do? How far right do you got to move to be considered a far-right politician in Norway? Is that like the Canadian NDP?
Well, it's funny, and that's what the media does. Is if it's associated with Trump, it's far right or right wing or alt right. Still try to figure out what the alt right is, but that's what they do. You never hear them talk about left wing politicians or left wing journalists or left wing organizations,
or you never ever hear them say far left.
No, the term far left does not exist in the mainstream media anywhere.
That's right. And just as what I was just doing is having a look at the. Will you go away? I just wanted to know that
he wasn't
Barack
talking
Obama,
to you, ladies and gentlemen.
No,
me.
I was talking about this thing that popped up.
It's a pop-up in his computer.
It's annoying me. Okay. The 2009 Nobel Peace Prize was awarded to the United States President Barack Obama for his extraordinary efforts to strengthen international diplomacy and cooperation between people.
Which was pretty amazing given the fact that he hadn't been president yet.
I was just going to say, when did he do that?
Well, whether he did it or not, when he got the prize, or when he was nominated for the prize, I don't think he'd even been elected yet.
Well, we're going to find out.
So it's, which, I don't know. It'd be really interesting to see if they award it to Donald Trump.
He became president that year.
Yeah, he was sworn in January of 2009.
Yeah.
Right. But in order to get the prize, he had to be nominated
before that. I know.
So I remember the story. The story was that Barack Obama got nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, and he hadn't even been sworn in yet. So, he hadn't accomplished all of the things that he got the prize for.
He hadn't accomplished anything.
No,
he got it for nothing.
He got elected.
That's not Nobel Peace Prize worthy.
You don't have to tell me that. I get that.
I mean, Justin Trudeau got elected.
That's true.
And so did Clinton, and so did...
Okay.
Thankfully, Hillary. It was the Bill, not the Hillary.
And Trudeau's going to get elected again, Nick. Just to bug you.
You're really trying to pull my chain.
I'm pulling your chain now.
Yeah, I'm being jerked off my feet by that one.
Pulled right off your feet, Nick.
Yeah, it's me. Because, I'm not one of these guys who would say that, look, if so-and-so wins the election, I'm leaving the country. Because that never happens. Trump looked, when it was found out we're leaving the country. We're moving to Canada. A lot of the West Coasters in the United States and California. None of them did. They're all still down in Hollywood.
Including the Canadians that are...
Yeah.
the
guys who legitimately could come home, like Jim Carrey.
Alex Trebek.
You name it. There's all kinds of them down there.
Sure.
And although Alex Trebek is about as non-political, I think, as you can get.
Well, Alex Trebek got his start at CBC.
Yeah, he did, but he shook that off.
A lot of those guys, when they talk about the CBC, right, being an important breeding ground for Canadian talent.
Scary. Do you know where Peter Mansbridge got his start?
They just end up down
the States.
South.
Do you know where Peter Mansbridge got his start?
Should I be ready to bleep this out?
No.
Because we don't want to get sued?
No.
No, where?
Nothing like that. He was announcing flights at the Winnipeg